What is going on, Neon Nation? Welcome back to the Neon Arcade for a Cyberpunk 2077 build guide. In this build guide, we're diving deep into the silenced hand cannon pistol approach, which will make you a quiet glass cannon able to pull off some insane crit headshots from the shadows. Mixed with cold blood stacks, you will be an effective killer able to get in and out of gigs in the most efficient and lethal way possible. If you're a fan of pistols and a style of play that has you striking from a distance, from the trees, or even up close and personal without alerting your enemies, this is going to be the build for you. Now, I do have some quality of life perks on this build that you will be seeing in the footage, but as always, the more you niche down into your perk trees and really focus on handguns, stealth, and cold blood, the more damage you will be doing quicker. The trade-off is of course things like health and stamina, but there's some compensation mechanic for this that I will explain shortly. First up, let's go over the overall structure of this build. You're going to be heavily investing into the reflex attribute and handgun skill tree, but also the cool attribute with the stealth and cold blood perk trees. Using your handgun is going to be important as usage also gives additional perk points, and some of the quality of life improvements for shooting your pistol that you're not going to be speccing into, which might help with aim, recoil, etc. As you sneak and combo headshots, you will rack up quality of life bonuses, which will make it easier to not invest any points into augmenting things like health or evasion, so keep that in mind as you're spending your perk points. First up, let's go under the important skills under the handgun tree. Spec into these as they open up, as the skills on the fringes will come once your attribute level goes up as well. At the top we have High Noon, which unlocks at the beginning, and at level 3 increases the crit chance with pistols and revolvers by 12%. Desperado is another great perk that opens up relatively early, and buffs overall damage with pistols and revolvers by 10% at level 3. With increased capability of hitting those crits, a fistful of Euro dollars is something that at level 2 will buff your crit damage by 20%. Rio Bravo is also very important because this build is going to focus on crit headshots, and this perk increases the headshot damage multiplier with pistols and revolvers by 30%. Longshot Drop Pop increases damage with pistols and revolvers to enemies 5+ meters away by 25%. This is going to feed into that longer distance combat while still in stealth. Grand Finale is a mid-tier perk which maxed at level 1 will deal double damage on a pistol or revolver's last bullet. Brain Power, one of the last tier perks, gives you an increased crit chance by 25% for 5 seconds after a successful headshot. With this build, chaining headshots and a steady aim are key. The Westworld perk really ties into the next section on equipment, and this will increase crit chance for pistols and revolvers if fully modded. Fully modded means a scope, some sort of barrel attachment, and all the mod slots on your weapon filled. Legendaries will have 4, whereas something more common may only have 2 or 1. Under Cool and Stealth, we have a couple perks that will lend itself to pumping up those damage numbers with the stealthy playstyle. First up we have Sniper, which increases the damage from headshots fired from outside combat by 50% at level 2. This synergizes nicely with Longshot Drop Pop from the handgun tree. Next we have Strike from the Shadows, which increases your crit chance by 15% when sneaking. Silent and Deadly also works well with the Westworld perk, and our inevitable equipment by increasing the damage dealt by silenced weapons by 25% when sneaking. Feel the Shadows is the last on the hierarchy, just because it's really only useful if your overall stealthy playstyle dissolves and you get caught out. This will trigger when enemies are aware and combat is queued, and will increase your crit chance by 25% for 7 seconds. Cold Blood is up next, and this is a perk that stacks. The base skill can stack up to 3 times, that will grant increased movement speed by 2% each time. Cold Blood is particularly useful because there are perks for other abilities per stack of Cold Blood. If you're chaining kills, you're likely going to have full Cold Blood stacks, and with that unlocks some powerful properties. Critical Condition increases the duration of Cold Blood by 10 seconds, and Coldest Blood increases the max stack amount to 4. The heavy hitting damage modifiers after this is the Frozen Precision skill, which increases headshot damage by 50%, Cold and Calculating, which gives a 25% chance to add a stack of Cold Blood if you land a critical hit, and Merciless, which increases crit chance by 10% and damage by 25% when Cold Blood is active, as well as giving a plus 1% crit chance and plus 3% crit damage per perk level. These unlock at the end of the road, so make sure you're putting your attribute points into reflexes and cool so that you get faster access to these perks that are locked out if you do not have the required attributes. Now, I didn't do this on my build, so do better than me and you will be dishing out more damage. Our pistol and revolver comes next, and it's going to be fully modded to take full advantage of the perks like Silent and Deadly and Westworld. When it comes to revolvers, the Overture is my favorite, with the iconic variant Crash being my go-to. This has some truly insane stats, including a plus 50% crit chance, plus 164% crit damage, a 3.5 times headshot multiplier, as well as a 2.5 times damage multiplier when attacking from stealth. The Silencer increases the crit chance by 49%, but reduces base damage by 25%. Again, fully modded plays to the hand of this weapon's innate stats, Westworld and Silent and Deadly. When it comes to attachments, the first thing we have here is the XC10 Cetus, which gives a 2.5 times damage multiplier when attacking from stealth, and increases the crit chance by 5%, reducing the base damage by 25%. Now when it comes to scopes, you can really choose whatever you want. Their stats are pretty negligible and won't matter, so it's really better to pick something that clutters your screen less than something that's overly bulky. That being said, I haven't really encountered a scope I'm in love with, so for now this one will do. We have 2 weapon mods on here, with Pacifier increasing crit damage by 8% and Penetrator increasing crit chance by 5%. An alternative here is the DR12 Quasar, but I haven't fully kitted this one out, and as far as my personal shooting preference goes, the Crash is better. The tech pistols use a charge up mechanic which takes a bit longer and in the process can alert your enemies. Obviously, find whatever suits you best, including regular pistols, but the iconic Overture will be dishing out the most damage, at least until something better pops up. For Cyberware, the most important thing is the Sandvisten operating system. When you activate the slow-mo by hitting E, crit chance and damage is increased by 20%. This synergizes nice with Field of Shadows if you get caught out, allowing you to slow time, line up some headshots, apply stacks of cold blood, and reset before your next encounter, where you can approach it a little bit more stealthily. All the other Cyberware options are for things like increased health, stamina, and armor, so make sure that if you are going all in with this archetype and build, that you forego pricey augmentations in favor of things like clothing and weapon mods. Now clothing also increases crit chance, and may either have built-in clothing mods off pickup, or slots that you can add. Again, legendary typically have more, and clothing mods are not cheap, so this will take you some time to build up to. The Deadeye clothing mod here, for example, is 175,000 eddies. On the upper body, we have the Arasaka Aramid vest, with Bully, which increases crit damage by 30%, and Deadeye, which increases crit chance by 15% and crit damage by 30%. There is another clothing slot here, but like I said, these are very expensive. Next we have Johnny's tank top, which gives a 15% crit chance, as well as his aviators, which increase crit chance by 15%, and a damage bonus to both moderate and high threat enemies by 5%. Police anti-shrapnel helmet will give you this exact boost, minus the 15% chance of crit. On the bottom, we just have armor stats and some movement speed. Now check out some of the earlier footage without some of the clothing mods and perks, versus what I'm pumping out now despite still needing some of the crazier perks on the cold-blooded tree, and without all my clothing with crit mods. There's still room to go up, but again, things in Night City do not come cheap. I hope you guys enjoyed this build guide. Let me know how it goes for you if you do try this out, and drop a comment and let me know what kind of character you've built so far in Cyberpunk 2077. As always, for anything and everything Cyberpunk, join Neon Nation by subscribing to the Neon Arcade.